So
yeah, all right. So
no, we'll wait for.
there. I like how we can see the train behind you. Rappy, since I'm right here and you're right here, we might want to do some testing on when each person's microphone should be muted, because I noticed an echo a second ago.
Sure. Hi everyone. We're just waiting for everyone to come in. So we still have 5 minutes. Thank you for coming. So this would be for the progressive coders discussion on data. So really glad to join for you to be joining us, and we'll just wait for others to come here in 5 minutes. Thank you. Hi guys. For those who are just joining us, we will be starting in 3 minutes. Thank you. Okay, let's start. So welcome everyone. I'm Rapi Castillo. I'm the founder and executive director of Progressive Coders Network. And today we're going to discuss a very important part of the Progressive Coders onus in its creation. We're going to talk about data, and specifically sustainable and progressive data. So before we begin, I would like to introduce the MC, or the one who will lead this discussion forward. He is Pat Shea. You know him as the Pat Shea in the Slack, and he's actually our director of partnerships and advocacy for the Progressive Coders Network. We want to call it the director for revolution development, because he's actually reaching out to people and reaching out to different organizations and spreading the good word of progressive coders. So we're really listening to to applications that are being made in our Slack group, and we're telling it to everyone we know. And we're just so proud and happy about all the creation that the community has created, and we really want to amplify it, and this is one of the things that we're doing to hopefully achieve that. So without further ado, I'll pass it over to Pat. So Pat. Wait.
Unmute me.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we're good. Okay. So, hey guys, thanks for the warm introduction, Rapi. I'm Pat Shea, Director of Revolution Development at ProgCode, as I like to say. For those of you who are new here and this is your first time attending one of these things, I'll give just a quick overview of what ProgCode is again. Forgive me if you've already heard this. So ProgCode, the way I look at it, is kind of it's a hybrid between a nonprofit, a startup incubator, an open source network, and a political revolution. And so what ProgCode is here to do is facilitate great ideas becoming reality. So what are you doing? Hang on. What?
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Oh, okay. Okay. So what don't we do? We don't own your projects. We don't own your data. If you're making a project, we are here to support you. We are here to help connect you to resources, to people to help make your application a reality, and also to help market your application and get it in the hands of users. And we're basically here to help you change the world. So that's in a nutshell the way I view progressive coders. Rapi, anything else you want to add? Okay, good. All right, so what are we here to talk about today? Today we're going to talk about sustainable data. What we mean when we say that is a lot of the power of this network is going to come and has already started coming from these hubs of data about voters, which I'll get into in a second. And it's not just for an evil example, look at the NSA. The NSA has a crap ton of data on us, and they can do super powerful things. We don't want to be the NSA, but we want to, and we're not going to be. But we want to be able to build, but we're building things that have a lot of powerful data that can work on their own and together to build even more powerful things. Now that sounded very pie in the sky and broad and not very specific, which is why I will now hand the mic over to our other speakers. We've got Ben Galewski here from the National Voter File. He'll tell you all about what that is. We've got Rick Dewitt from the Political Landscape API. and Chris Henry from IssueVoter. And Maria Yuan is also here from IssueVoter. So as we go through, you guys have on your sidebar, there will be a place for you to ask questions. We'll be watching that. And at the end, we're going to have a Q&A session where we answer as many of those questions as we can. So upvote the questions you like the best, and we'll get to those ones first. Also, if at any point during this stream the video cuts out or something, write that in the questions thing so we know, so we can pause and fix it. And yeah, so without further ado, Ben Galuski from the National Voter File.
Nod, yes? Yes? Hear me?
No, it doesn't. No, it is.
I hear you, but there we go.
Great. Hi. So I'm Ben Galuski, and I'm calling you live from Shy Hack Night here in the beautiful Merchandise Mart in Chicago. And I will share my screen here.
Whoa.
Oh, that is so cool. I've got, like, anyway. So today I'm going to be talking about a project that we're working on, a national voter file, and this is part of a larger effort called Movement, which has its own Slack channel. So I'll start off here with what is a voter file. So you can kind of see most of the stuff here, but it's comes from the Secretaries of State, and it contains information like the person's name and address and history of the elections that they've participated in. It also, some files contain the voter's age and contact information and possibly their political party preference. So if you've taken a Republican ballot during a primary, then that would get recorded. What is it good for? Well, there's a lot of very traditional uses for them, for canvassing voters, identifying voters to canvass, targeting them for different advertising purposes. But we're looking in our progressive coder applications, some interesting applications. So one would be doing A/B testing of voter registration drives. So you're doing, we're able to, since we're downloading the data monthly, we can look at a census block level the efficacy of different voter registration drives. Or also, once we get the voter results, we can see with A/B testing maybe different campaigns and how they work to get the vote out. Someone else has suggested we can actually monitor this monthly and look for mass purges of voters from the registry, because that would show up as a delta in the file. We're hoping to be able to use this in a broader sense in some other of the applications we'll be talking about tonight of definitive definitions of a lot of static data around government jurisdictions and other sorts of things. And then one of the biggest applications that we're very excited about is creating grassroots campaigns. And Movement is all about really going out and doing canvassing and maybe helping voters find their candidates instead of always being the other way around of candidates finding voters. Like I mentioned, it comes from Secretaries of State's offices, and they're responsible for providing these files. It's each state has their own file format, and a number of states charge for this file, and some states charge exorbitant fees for the files. Traditionally, the parties, the parties have the highest quality versions of this file. They download it, they maintain it, they keep histories of voting and canvassing history. The problem is that each state's party determines who gets access to the data. And so for example, I live in Illinois, and the Democratic Party, the arch Machiavellian state Speaker of the House, he said flat out that if you're running against an incumbent, you just can't have the data. So there's also commercial vendors that'll sell the data sets, but that's an expensive way to get going. So the challenges that we're facing as a project is there are 50 different data formats. Some states charge a lot, like Alabama charges $30,000 a pop just to get the data. And so we've done a study, and it would cost $144,000 each month to download this data. So we're looking at funding sources, and there's actually some people looking at bringing suits against the Secretaries of State, saying this is inherently anti-democratic. And the data is not always the cleanest, so errors and omissions. So this is not going to look great here. Let's see if I can zoom in on this. So, I work in industry and data warehousing, and so we're using some data warehousing techniques to represent this. So we have different models. I'm not expecting you to, I just want to kind of give you a brief feel for what we're looking at here. So this is a model that represents each voter report that we download. And so we separate it out into households. We can keep track of how many people live in a household. Voters. The voter file is a definitive report of what jurisdiction everyone lives in, at state senate, state representative, federal, congressional district. So we want to record all that information. If we can enrich it with social media data, all the better. And all this data gets tracked on a historic basis, so you can compare last month's report to this month's report and see that this person voted Republican when they lived in this district, but then they moved to a different district, and now they vote Democrat. Another model that we have is canvassing. So now we've got this great data about voters and households. If we're canvassing or doing phone banking, if we record that information, it's now tied into a very rich dimensional model that you can do analysis and slice them up by different attributes. A model that I've been very interested in is campaign contributions. And so since hopefully a number of contributions come from voters, as we begin to capture this data, we should be able to report voter contributions and slice that by different demographic information. So then a big deal is how you authorize access to this data. And so what we're looking at is sort of like a social media model, where you have campaigns that are allied with other campaigns, and you might have staffers who work for a campaign or staffers who support different campaigns. And so we're going to be authorizing data. You can contribute data to this model, and you can either make it private, just for you. You can make it public, so it benefits everyone who has access to the database. Or you could say, I want to share this data with my allies, or maybe open it up a bit more and say allies of allies. Time for a quick demonstration. So first off, we're using a ETL tool that is very productivity enhancing, called Pentaho Data Integration, familiarly known as Kettle. And so we've already been loading data from Washington, and so it has things where you can specify the files and match it up with the fields and the types, and then it looks up, tries to match up households, and if it's there, it can reuse it. Otherwise, it creates a new one, and so on and so forth. And it's a very productive environment for doing these loads. I was able to load a lot of data from a complicated file fairly quickly, and then come up with some fun queries. Here's just like the number of households, 2.4 million, and then if I look at voters, there's 4.6 million. And I did some queries which I shared in the chat channel over the weekend about looking at things of how many voters live in a household, and so you can see by zip code which households are, which zip codes have the highest number of voters per household. So just some fun stuff that hopefully, as we get more dimensional data, it'll get more interesting. Oh, that was not the one that I wanted to share. So how can you help? So we have all these different dimensions, like I've shown, of households, census tracts, states. We need to identify what are the interesting, new interesting dimensions you want to slice the data by. Help us figure out what attributes we want to record. Help us find sources to get the data, and we're working on a process to geocode all the households. Definitely need help on the canvassing model, and definitely need more eyes looking at the data to see what issues there might be with it. And here are some links to interesting things. And Let me get a shareable link to this. Copy it, and I'll paste it here in our general for the presentation. That's all for me. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Ben, that was that was fantastic, to say the least. Super excited about that. So our next person to blow us away will be Rick Dewitt. Would you like to show us the political landscape API and perhaps your presentation that I've been hearing good things about?
From the back in the Fremont area of Seattle. I actually live in the Mill Creek area, but I needed to be in Fremont today. So I'm coming to you live from my cell phone. I made a video this weekend, and it talks about the Portal project and the political landscape API that's underneath it. The basic idea is the Portal is how the people interact with the political landscape, and the political landscape is all of the districts and the things we know about the politics. Rappy, or whoever is going to do this, could you please play my video? Hello? I don't have a sidebar or any way to control that.
Rappy's,
so it's up to you.
Rappy's working on it. Don't worry. We got it.
Okay.
Let me know, and I can just read the script again.
Yeah, Rick, could you read the script there, because I think we're having technical difficulties
On the audio. I don't think
the vision.
audio.
Okay, I'm going to read the script. So this is a vision statement for the Portal project and the political landscape API. We need to refresh Congress, and that means recruiting candidates at all levels. Progressives need to serve on city councils and school boards before they can be taken seriously enough to win a seat in Congress. And this is called building our farm team. If we don't find and develop great local candidates, we will continue to elect the same old random people in the same old random ways and get the same old broken policies. So we progressive coders are here to put modern technology into politics. We have the skills to invent technology to empower our democracy. The portal allows us to recruit local candidates and empower local activists. It helps voters align their votes with progressive endorsements to put progressives into office. It provides the structure we need to organize all the way down the ticket. Government information is the bedrock of our political landscape, and that's where we plant the seeds, tend the plants, and reap the harvests. We plant the seeds through the portal. That means the offices that are up for election next year tell us how to recruit new candidates this year. Early recruiting helps candidates sprout a winning campaign, and this is how Portal helps us build our farm team, by predicting who's up for election, where we recruit. We tend our plants through the portal. Portal asks individual voters questions about what issues are important to them and what candidates they personally endorse, and then that intelligence can go directly into the National Voter File project. Then we reap our crops through the portal. Portal shows voters a personalized endorsements finder. It helps a voter correlate their own values about issues with the candidates and measures appearing on their own ballot. And that shows organizational endorsements as well to highlight the progressive candidates. And Portal needs to change with the seasons During caucus season, it'll show a caucus finder. During election season, it will show an endorsements finder. The rest of the year, it will show a walk or a phone list. There's always something to do. But the real political landscape is vast. It includes all of the states, counties, cities, precincts, districts, offices, voters, elected officials, candidates, issues, measures, initiatives, referendums, elections, caucuses, conventions, parties, maps, and organizations. And the political landscape also changes over time, and it's just too much for human beings to comprehend. So the mission of the Political Landscape API is to store and serve the entire political landscape with a standard data structure. The portal is a client that lets anyone see any facet of the political landscape. And we're going to need data stewards across the nation to populate and curate data from every state. In many cases, the data already exists someplace, and it just needs to be cleaned up for bulk import. We're going to need to create a business model to support this level of activity. Maybe we can enlist an existing progressive organization for that help, and that is an open question. There's a lot to be done. We're just barely beginning, and I'm going to be collaborating closely with John Culver here in the Seattle area, also progressive coder, to take the first cut at defining the new API. Thank you very much for your time, and I'm open for questions, or I'll hand it on to the next speaker, who's Chris, I believe.
Cool.
All right. Thank you, Rick. That was awesome, and we can thank the current establishment for, as you said, creating a political landscape that is so complicated that human beings can't comprehend it. So I'm glad you're working on fixing that problem, and I'm certain we can get you as much support as possible. 1 second. What, Rafi? Sorry, guys.
Maria is first.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. So next up is Maria from IssueVoter.
Maria, we Sorry, we can't hear you.
Hey guys, since Maria is having some technical difficulties, I think I'll just take over for us.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, Maria.
So to briefly introduce myself, I'm Chris Henry. I'm leading technology at IssueVoter. Maria Yuan is our founder. Was that little bit of a technical mishap there. So IssueVoter was Maria's idea. She came up with it about 2 years ago, and the whole purpose is to connect everyday busy people with what's happening in Congress. So IssueVoter kind of takes on as two main purposes. The first is to allow everyone to amplify, everyone to have a voice in bills that are being talked about in Congress every single day. So what we do is for everyone who signs up, we present them with all the bills that are being debated now. And we put them in very simple language. We present pros, cons, and just some related information. And we allow them to make a decision about whether or not they support or oppose a bill. And we present them with buttons that say support or oppose. Once they do that, that information is actually pushed right to their congressperson. So in this way, we allow people to really communicate with Congress and give Congress a very simple, structured message about what their constituents want. As time goes on and users vote on many more bills, what happens is that we build up a scorecard that's personalized per user that shows how the user has voted and how the congressperson has voted on a bill. So after a year, you know whether or not your congressperson is supporting you. So that's IssueVoter in a nutshell. So very briefly, the tech stack is Django, MySQL, and on the front end we're looking at either React or Angular. And we're looking for people to help join us. So if there's anyone interested, please let me know. Drop a link in the sidebar and we can chat afterwards. So to move on a bit, Rappy had proposed a coalition through progressive coders called the Voter Empowerment Coalition. And this is something that Marie and I have joined, and this is something that we're particularly excited about. Issue Voter in general is really meant to do that, to empower voters and to educate them and to give them an idea of what's happening and what they can do to fix things. So that brings us to APIs. So Issue Voter is currently powered by Sunlight's congressional API. And that way we're able to pull in bills, legislators, all sorts of information like that. But in order for Issue Voter and every other product that we put out here, we need great APIs. We need things that are modern, well-run, run over SSL and things of that nature. So we're really excited about everything that's happening here at Progressive Coders. And on a personal note, I used to, and I continue to, run and operate large apps at scale. So anyone who has questions about how they think their API should run, how someone would consume their API, I'd love to talk with you guys about that, or how to deploy it, or how to scale it. I'd like to make myself available as a resource to everyone here. So that's me.
Okay. So now we are, so we were going to do the Q&A now, but I don't know, I don't personally see any questions on mine. Is there any, Rampy, do you see any on yours?
Wait.
One moment, please. If you have any questions that you haven't asked, now's the time to write them. The Q&A thing is, you click it on your left sidebar and then it shows up in your right sidebar.
I guess I would like to ask a question to the Issue Voter team, and I wish so I would like you to talk more about how you see this plethora of applications going about actual voter files, the API, and like how do you see this interact with what you're doing, or is there like a possibility? I think we've talked about it, but I would like to hear more about how you see this this set of applications have in terms of like coalition building, and how will that coalition help you?
Yeah, so one of the great things about this conversation now is that I didn't really know that many of these APIs existed. The national voter file in and of itself is going to help us by validating our own users and us as an organization. So that way, when we go to present our data, we know that when someone signs up, we can actually cross-check them with the voter registration file. It'll be able to validate many of the things that we're doing. The political landscape API sounds like an excellent fit for us to consume and then present to users. All sorts of depths of information about what's happening in the political landscape. So I'm quite excited about that. You were breaking up a little bit, and I couldn't quite hear the question. Did that answer it? Was there anything else that you wanted to know?
Yeah, I think that's perfect. I think what you said makes perfect sense. I think there's a lot of collaboration possible in these different applications and API, and I feel that setting up this battery of APIs we have right now with Lappy and with Ben and with what you guys are doing, in addition to what FEC is creating, is really helpful in terms of empowering the voters, I think. Thank you. And also, I think, do you have any questions?
Well, we've got a question with 3 upvotes here from Nick Karnick, who could answer next if we want to move on to that. Okay. So he says, I was curious about which organizations are present here. Robbie, do you want to start?
So one of the things that progressive coders want to do is continuously create partnerships with other organizations and because I will talk more about this after the conclusion, but what we want to create is a constellation of networks And we feel that moving forward with this political revolution or with this idea of empowering voters is that progressive coders or the applications that we're providing with different organizations is the key for them to bond together. We feel that organizations are so disparate right now, and they need our tools in order to communicate with each other. And we are positioned in a very unique way wherein we are able to connect a lot of different progressive or other types of organization. Like I believe that we have representative from Political Revolution here. We have representative from Our Revolution. We have representative from MoveOn.org. There are a lot of possible networks that you can connect to, and that is one of the ways that we want to amplify your work. So I hope that was a helpful answer.
I can add to that a little bit in terms of future organizations that we're going to be working with. A lot of us were at the convention this week and met so many people that we're still trying to wrap our heads around it. But the biggest potential partnerships that we've found, and sorry if I'm repeating anything you're saying, Rappi, are People for Bernie, Our Revolution, Brand New Congress. Obviously, everyone knows about Code Core. Bernie Sanders himself, Bernie's Diner in LA, the Sanders Institute, CrowdPack, and believe it or not, the Young Turks and a lot of other and a lot of Bernie's celebrity and political activist surrogates, which is something we'll be talking more about on Friday. But a sneak preview on that. So those are the ones that we've already started building relationships with. Election Justice USA is another one. Yeah, those are the, I would say those are the main ones right now. But I'm personally trying to meet someone from every organization and see where we can align our goals and work together and support each other.
Yeah, I think we'll talk more
this is
about
Rick.
that on Friday. Sorry, Rick, go ahead.
Political Landscape API is mostly a vision right now, and I would really love to find an organization that I can wrap it into that can help sponsor and grow it. That's one of the big missing pieces for it. So if anybody's interested, let's talk on Slack or get introduced there at least. Thanks.
All right. Okay. So now we have some more questions. Stephen, forgive me if I mispronounce your last name. I'm going to try Mazliach. Can you make use of help of beginner or intermediate coders? I'm still in college and I'm not as experienced as others are in this group, but decent at front end. How does someone who joins ProgCode find the best fit organization-wise to participate in? Rappi, do you want to answer that? Yeah.
So I think I would give the floor over to our panel as well, but for ProgCode, on Friday we will be discussing our plans for this month, for the coming month. So what ProgCode will do is focusing inward and reaching outward. So Pat is here to reach outward to other organizations to help you learn more coding, to amplify the applications you're using, and to utilize we have a vast potential to use a vast distribution channel. So what we want to do with the coders is to help out learning, and I think there are a lot of possibilities in terms of learning with the projects that we have in hand. Ben, do you want to say something about it? Oh, sorry, Ben, we can't hear you.
There, try that. So Code Core, which is under development right now, is going to answer a lot of those questions. But I think most projects will have, as they start coming up with their backlog of things that need to be done. I know we're going to be identifying what are beginner friendly And so I think just the answer is to don't be shy. If you find projects that interest you, start asking around and seeing, do they have a backlog of tasks, or can you help with that, or ask around for that. So I think it will happen, but I think at least in the short term, you'll have to take some initiative to find those tasks.
And I know that Issue Voter is also having a lot of internship right now. Would you like to talk about that, Chris?
Yeah, absolutely. We're actually right in the middle of a redesign. So what that means is that there's going to be a ton of front-end build. And that's the kind of thing that a beginner or a mid-level person would absolutely be a fit for. In addition to that, there's a wide number of tasks that we have. Either parsing in new and interesting data sets, integrating with new APIs. For example, we're integrating with the corresponding with Congress API. So, anyone who is interested in that sort of thing, we would welcome.
Okay.
And yeah, so I'll just add one more thing in general. Like, the way that I gained the majority of my coding skills was by wanting to do something and not knowing how to do it, but taking on things that seems that they were just outside of my reach. So my advice to a beginner or intermediate coder would be to seek out projects with tasks that have things you can do that are just outside of your ability to do, and then use the internet and all the resources available to you to teach yourself how to do that and make it happen. That has been what allowed me to learn the fastest and was most fulfilling for me. I think a lot of other people have the same experience. I can't speak for everyone, but I think we will do everything we can to seek out these tasks that beginners and intermediates can work on, because you guys are the future. Yeah, soon we'll be working for you.
So we have a question at the general channel at our Slack. Right. It says, we heard a lot about many different fantastic. Sorry. Sorry about that. Can you hear me now? Okay. So I just wanted to say about CodeCore. So we're creating a way for you to, Josh Smith is creating, and his team is creating a way for you to enlist your skills and look for projects that are available for your skill set. But at the same time, we're making a way for us to show all the applications being made or are here in Slack or are here in the ProgCode environment. And at the same time, we're working with other partners to amplify the projects that you guys have. Next question, I think, would be pertinent for Ben. Ben, are you still here? Could you talk about the national voter file, or like how it relates to grassroots PV, or how do you see it with phone banking?
I haven't been in detailed discussions with any of those groups yet. I think it's just more a matter of, if obviously this is the raw data for many of these applications. We're spawned out of the movement project, So I think definitely aware of what their immediate needs are. But I think as we're seeing tonight that there's any number of applications for this data, and so our goal is to reach out and make sure that we can meet the needs of everybody and at least make sure that people are aware of this as a resource. So I don't have anything specific about any applications yet.
Thank you.
Okay, so the other question on the Google Hangout is from Nick Busman, or Nick Busman. Again, sorry if I mispronounced that. He asks, who are the projects currently looking for? Developers, designers, other people? And I guess I'll let each of you guys answer that.
This is Rick. Give me about a month or so before I can really take anybody on. I've got a lot of structure to work through between now and then to launch. Thanks.
Okay. So I attached to the presentation, which I pasted a link into the general chat. We have a waffle with, now it's a fairly small backlog. We've got some beginner-friendly stories, but we're certainly looking for ETL developers, SQL gurus, and especially people who have some ideas about what data would be interesting to do voter data analysis by. So and GIS people. So we've got a small backlog of items that we're going to keep growing, and so I've kind of listed in the presentation some of the basic things that we need. But chat me up if you have specific skills you'd like to contribute.
Issue voter?
So we're currently looking for Python people, front-end people, and designers. I mean, one of our key challenges here is that as a user-facing product, we need an excellent UI and UX. While that may not speak particularly to this crowd, it's important. So if you know anyone, also let us know.
I think that in general, we, Rafi, correct me if I'm wrong, our big focus at the beginning was bringing all the progressive coders together, and we have not yet brought all the progressive designers together. So if anyone on here is a designer, we would love to know, because I think that is one area that we are currently having a shortage. So that, and then for my project, which to detect election fraud and voter purges, it would be huge if anyone here already has experience with headless browsing, Phantom.js or anything like that. If not, that's okay. I'm willing to teach anyone. It's not that hard. Yeah, and I guess I'm also looking for Node.js people and a little bit of front end as well.
Okay, I guess one last question here at our Slack. Evis, you said, what's the relationship between a prog coder and the organization they're working for? Probably varies from org to org, but just curious how that looks. Employment, volunteer, worker, co-op. That's a really good question, and I think that's a great way to jump off to our conclusion. So first, what is Progressive Coders Network? So as Pat has said, like it's a mixture of everything, but what we're really trying to do is to create a culture of creation to create applications that promote the progressive ideals. What are progressive ideals? These are empowering the grassroots and helping voter empowerment and creating a space of economic and social justice for all. And so that's about it. It's a very broad and vague definition, but I feel that that's a good start for the culture that we're trying to make. In terms of its relationship with the organization, we want to position ourselves closer to the coders. We want to position ourselves closer to the projects, because what we want to do is to create a space wherein they can amplify those projects, and we want to create a space wherein they can incubate, they can create, they can reach out to other people. Because the onus of this organization is that we create something when we start talking to each other. And as you saw in the past election season, we don't have the money, but we have the people. And what we're trying to create is to have a sustainable relationship between the applications and how we govern ourselves and our society. So if we create these tools, we create these open source tools for people, or we create these amazing applications that people can utilize and promote ownership to their vote, their community, and to their society as a whole, we have made our job. So that's about it. So our relationship with organizations, we want to amplify, we want to support them, we want to create a space that they could utilize our network, and we could share their applications, we could amplify it through our distribution channel, etc. So with that said, I think we could move on to the last part, which is just to conclude everything. Thank you so much everyone for joining us. Thank you for the speakers, Ben, Chris, Rick, Maria. Sorry again for the technical glitch, but thank you for being here. You guys have been awesome. It's such an amazing thing that these applications are created, and we will work as hard as we can to amplify these. And one of the things that we are trying to do, we are starting now, is to group or to have a space for these applications to thrive more. And what that means is that since we are seeing we are seeing so much enthusiasm and creation of voter-related applications. And we always listen. Like I go through our Slack channel and all the other channels we have, or every communities we have, and listen to what is happening. And
Sorry.
I guess that's it for me. No, sorry. So, yeah. So, yeah, no, it's okay, Rick. So what we're trying to do now is we want to. So we have so many applications being created for voter empowerment. So we have Issue Voter, we have National Voter File, we have Flappy, and we have so many, like what Pat is trying to do. Like we want to lessen election fraud to 0. We want to educate voters. We want everything to help voters own their vote. One voter, one vote. And that is the amazing thing about these applications, is that we're doing a lot of different things, but we're doing one thing, which is to empower the voter. And what we want to happen now is because since there are a lot of possible applications, we want first to lessen redundancy. So we're trying to look for ways to instead of having so many applications doing the same work, we want those applications to collaborate and to join forces and amplify their work. We want to create partnerships through that, and we want to have a space where they could focus on empowering the voter through collaboration and conversation. And we want it to be nonpartisan. So we're making it an open tent, because voter empowerment is a progressive idea. The more people who vote, the more that it is being represented by their Congress. So with that said, I'm really happy to announce that we're starting the Voter Empowerment Coalition. I have talked to the leaders and creators of 7 applications, amazing applications. So we have now 7, and it's definitely going to grow. Like we've just been here 3 weeks, and like in 3 weeks we have seen so many enthusiasm towards voter empowerment that it will continuously grow. And with that, we want to have continuous conversation with regards to voter empowerment, but at the same time, we will keep on looking for ways to create coalitions within our movement, within this organization, because I feel that we have to strengthen our network by grouping together coalitions and by making them stronger and by having them more efficient that way. So I guess that's all I have to say. I would pass it back to Pat.
All right, that's all we got for today. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you're interested in the getting involved in the Voter Empowerment Coalition, join us at our new Slack channel, #voter-empowerment. and we'll see you on the internet.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.